The chairman of Reliance, Dhirubhai Ambani. Who was the chairman of the Birla Group? Mr. B.K. Birla. I was a contemporary of their children. But I was thrown into the deep end. So I was a group chairman being compared to people who were my father's age. Now, as a youngster, I had the passions of young people.
Like?
I enjoyed a good car. I enjoyed my drinks. I enjoyed parties. I enjoyed music. I enjoyed sport. Not all of my father's contemporaries, who suddenly became my contemporaries in business, lived that way. They were more conservative, more at home, more domestic, consistent with their own age. So suddenly the media decided, this guy, chairman of UB Group, is flamboyant. I was termed flamboyant only because I did what every other youngster aspired to do. At the end of the day, you have to make allowances, age-related allowances, let's put it that way. But it's okay. I have no regrets. I didn't spend anybody else's money. I spent my own money. I lived my life the way I wanted to live my life. If I look back, I've got millions of miles of corporate experience under my belt, starting off at a very young age. And I hope people appreciate the more positive contributions that I have made, rather than the persistently negative narrative that has overtaken and overshadowed effectively a whole career. I don't think I ever used that word flamboyant. It was the media and the narrative they created around me that was flamboyant for their own purposes. Now, I just lived like any other moderately wealthy 28-year-old would live.
No.
Yeah,
You lived
absolutely.
an extraordinary life.
How can it be extraordinary? In what way? Do you know what the exchange controls were in India? Do you know if you could import a Ferrari in India? Today you can. But go back to the 1985, 86, could you import a Ferrari? No way in the world.
So did you or did you not?
You could only buy cars from the State Trading Corporation through an auction process in Delhi.
But you ended up buying all of them.
I could not.
Later you bought it.
Look, I like good cars. I race cars. I've been racing cars since I was a teenager. Okay? I brought a Formula One car into India to race, okay, when my father was still alive. In fact, when I won the race at Sholavaram, okay, near then Madras, now Chennai, I called him from the racetrack and said, I won the race. He was very happy. So it wasn't as if I was trying to do things behind people's back. But, okay, I was fond of motorsports back then.
Okay, so it came from media, but did you enjoy the tag?
Where did I have the time to enjoy or spend my time and energy denying? I just lived my life, did my work, and I think whoever you may ask, I worked really hard.
See, this is very... Okay, this is very like a media answer, okay? You were aware that people call you flamboyant. You were aware that this was the image being built. You were aware that headline mein yahi likha tha. What was your reaction? What did you start secretly? Did you enjoy it?
No way.
So what was your reaction the moment people would write it? You were like, ignore it.
Of course I would ignore it. What have I done for the last 9 years?
But at that time you were in peak.
Let me tell you something. Being referred to as flamboyant, some people may take as a compliment. But nobody will tolerate being called chore, thief, fugitive, right? These are damning words. I ignored all of it. because I knew I couldn't fight it. Much like I ignored flamboyance. I couldn't spend all my time devoted to contradicting what the media wrote. Yeah, and now,
But, okay.
let me also tell you, I referred to earlier, I said, this whole theme of flamboyance, the media, if you see the pattern of their reportage on me, okay, I mean, and they kept on writing things which really, I thought these guys don't have anything better to do. Vijay Mallya ne aise party kiya. Vijay Mallya is hosting a New Year's party at Kingfisher Villa. Vijay Mallya is doing this, that, and other things. Okay, bottom line is, they created a narrative of a personality that helped them to sell their own media. One day there was a terribly wrong, factually incorrect article in one of the large newspapers in India. So I called the owner. I said, how could you possibly publish something like this without checking the facts?
Kya tha?
Vijay, sorry yaar, your name sells. So they created this animal called Vijay Mallya, whose name started selling, so they could get more eyeballs, more readership, more viewership. But be that as it may, I lived my life. What was my objectives? I am not apologetic for the life I lived because I didn't spend anybody else's money except my own. I didn't borrow 1 rupee from anybody. Okay? I was much maligned, much complimented, but effectively, I was my own brand ambassador. Take the case of one much talked about phrase, king of good times.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy to walk around with a label on my chest saying king of good times. Read, and this is where somebody must make the effort. See the label of the Kingfisher beer that was developed. It says the king of good times. The personality of Kingfisher beer was the king of good times. Ulta media started calling me the king of good times. So tell me, me being the king of good times will not help sell the beer.
But it did.
Because the beer itself was the genuine king of good times. And the personality that I gave Kingfisher, promoting sport, promoting fashion, promoting music, sponsoring motor racing. So all the stuff that's exciting to youngsters, that represented the personality of the Kingfisher brand. That's why Kingfisher was such a success.
But talk to me about building of Kingfisher. Don't you think it was at least that's what I think. It was a very well curated strategy that I will become a brand which represents Kingfisher.
No, I was brand ambassador. And I have done it not only for Kingfisher, but take the case of our spirits business. I actually came on national television with an ad encouraging people not to drink and drive. I did it myself. I didn't get some film star to do it. I did it myself.
So becoming a personal brand was a strategy then.
Of course it was.
So then why does it bother you that you were
Doesn't bother
tagged
me.
as like the king
Never
of good
bothered
times?
me. But that's what I'm saying. But I am not the person who labeled myself as king of good times.
You
It so
curated
happened that the media started calling me the king of good times. Fine.
because subtly you curated this, no?
I didn't curate king of good times. In what way?
By
doing
actually
what?
promoting a lifestyle which every young person would aspire to.
Why not? Young people are entitled